York theaters. I've never had a man that I wanted to whoop so bad.
It's over! Ali is the knockout winner!
He tells the world he's the greatest.
Tell him, what are we going to do? We're going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble.
And soon, the world believes it.
So great, I don't have a mark on my face, and I upset Sonny Liston, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I told the world, I talk to God every day. If God's with me, can't nobody be against me. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
He is born Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. in West Louisville in January 1942. World War II is taking its toll on the world economy and morale. In Louisville, segregation is law. Obstacles are plenty, opportunities few.
I don't think Muhammad was a person who ever thought he couldn't be something that he wanted to be.
Wife, Lonnie Ali.
So it was always this sense of competition with him, and not to show like I'm better, but that I can achieve, I can do. And so I think that was a sense that was fostered in him as a young child, and it grew into him as a young adult.
Clay takes up boxing and shows considerable promise, spending much of his time training in Smoketown.
I've had people tell me who went to school with him at Central High School that Muhammad would sit in class, probably should have been paying attention to the teacher, but he was drawing what his, on paper, what his jacket, his championship jacket was going to look like when he won the championship, heavyweight championship of the world. So this was something that was planted in him early on.
In 1960, at age 18, he wins gold at the Rome Olympics. But his return to Louisville is marked with more obstacles. The ESPN video is black and white, and so too are the issues. Ali has refused service at a local diner. Rumors are that in anger, the best amateur boxer in the world tossed his gold medal into the Ohio River. Later in 1960, Ali takes that racial adversity and wins his first professional boxing title at Freedom Hall.
He was one who could dig deep and find the strength, the inner strength that he needed to overcome.
Ali calls on that inner strength again in 1964, fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world.
If Sonny Liston whoops me, I'll kiss his feet in the rain. I'm not out of the ring on my knees. Tell him he's the greatest and catch the next jet out of the country. That's what I think about.
Ali wins, surprising everyone but himself.
He thought he was the best. Even if he wasn't, in his mind he was, and he was going to do it. But he was also willing to take it to the next level and the next step of dedicating himself to whatever it took to become the greatest.
One day after his heavyweight win,
I would like for you to call me by my name now. Muhammad Ali.
Cassius Clay joins the Nation of Islam and changes his name to Muhammad Ali. Soon after, Ali is forced to fight an opponent that does not wear boxing gloves.
My intention is to box to win a clean fight. But in war, the intention is to kill, 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 kill.
In 1967, the war in Vietnam escalates. For religious reasons, Ali refuses the draft 3 times. He's arrested, convicted, and banned from boxing.
I don't think this is a man who ever in his life thought there wasn't anything he couldn't do if he put his mind to it.
3 years later, the U.S. Supreme Court reverses Ali's conviction, allowing him back in the ring.
Clumsy, ugly, flat-footed Joe Frazier. I'll show you what a real champion is.
I'm going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. His hands can't hit what his eyes can't see.
Ali rumbles in the jungle, thrills in Manila, and quickly regains his heavyweight title. The first to accomplish such a feat after a 3-year absence. Another obstacle overcome by Ali.
One more thing, I want everybody to know that I'm the greatest fighter of all times, and the greatest city of all times is Louisville, Kentucky.
He retires in 1981, 56 wins, 37 knockouts. He's the greatest.
The attitude that he had was that of a champion. He wanted to be a champion, and he was willing to do whatever it took, overcome any obstacles or barriers to get there.
In 1983, the greatest is once again called upon to fight. Again, it's opponent that doesn't wear boxing gloves. He's diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
It was always mind over matter. Even today with Muhammad, it's still mind over matter. Parkinson's has slowed him down. He recognizes that, but he will never let it defeat him.
Ali's story isn't about being the greatest, it's about finding the greatest within.
Believe that you can achieve anything you put your mind to, because he's a perfect example of that.